A teenage boy sat in the park. He closed his eyes. He folded his hands. He prayed, "Dear God, help my mom. She is sick." Two children walked by. They laughed. They pointed at him. "Look at him," the first child said. "He talks to no one." The second child kicked his backpack. "Prayer is dumb," the first child said. "God won't help you." He gave the boy $1. "Here, buy food with real money." The boy looked up. Tears filled his eyes. "God will help me," he said softly. The first child smirked. "We'll see you here next week. Your mom will still be sick." The children walked away. They high-fived each other. The next week came. The boy sat in the same spot. He prayed again. The two children returned. They wore new shoes. They carried new toys. "Still praying?" the first child asked. "Where is your God now?" The boy stayed quiet. A tear rolled down his cheek. "My mom is worse," the boy whispered. The second child laughed. "See? Prayer doesn't work. You're wasting time." The first child threw a coin at his feet. "Stop praying. Get a real job. God won't pay for doctors." The boy picked up the coin. His hands shook. He said nothing. The children left. The boy cried alone. 3 years passed. The two children were now teenagers. They walked through the same park. They wore old clothes. Their shoes had holes. They sat on a bench. The first teen held his head. Dad lost his job. He said, "We have no money." A nice car pulled up. A young man stepped out. He wore a clean shirt. He carried bags of food. The two teens stared. "Is that?" the second teen asked. The boy from before walked toward them. Different. He looked happy. He looked healthy. "Do you remember me?" the young man asked. The first teen's eyes went wide. You prayed here." The young man nodded. "I did. Every day." The first teen stood up. "But you had no money. Your mom was sick. How did you get that car?" The young man smiled. "God heard my prayers." He opened one bag. He pulled out sandwiches. "My mom got better. A doctor saw her for free. I got a job at his office. He taught me. Now I help him." The second teen's mouth dropped open. The young man handed them the food bags. "You said God wouldn't help, but he did. And now he wants me to help you." The first teen started to cry. "We were so mean to you." The young man put his hand on the teen's shoulder. "God forgives. So do I." He pulled out 2 envelopes. He gave one to each teen. "These are part-time job offers at the doctor's office. Come Monday if you want." The teens hugged him. They cried. They thanked him. The young man walked back to his car. He looked up at the sky. He smiled. "Thank you, God. Drop a heart if you believe God answers prayers." "Hey, kid, since when do we shop with invisible money?" The bakery owner joked loudly as he caught the little boy slipping a loaf of bread into his backpack. The whole bakery turned to look. The boy froze, face red as a tomato. I wasn't stealing. I was going to pay. Just later," he mumbled. The owner raised an eyebrow, crossing his arms. "Later, huh?" Before things got awkward, an old man sipping coffee by the window chuckled and said, "Come on, Joe. It's just bread. Add it to my tab." Joe, the owner, shook his head but smiled. "Fine, but next time, you ask first, all right?" The boy nodded furiously. Before leaving, the old man slipped a few coins into the boy's hand. "For next time," he winked. Years went by. The bakery struggled. Big supermarkets opened nearby. Customers faded away. Joe thought about closing for good. One morning, a fancy car parked outside. Out came a young man in a sharp suit. The same boy, just taller and confident now. He held out a set of keys. "I bought the building. The bakery is yours, rent-free, on one condition. Keep selling that amazing sourdough." Joe laughed through teary eyes. "You little thief. You really paid me back, huh? If you believe small kindnesses can change the world, leave a heart and subscribe." She ordered her coffee like normal, but screamed at the young barista for taking too long. "Are you stupid? I've been waiting 5 whole minutes. I'm sorry, ma'am. We're really busy today." But the angry woman wasn't done. She grabbed the hot coffee and threw it right at the poor girl's face. "Maybe this will teach you to move faster." Everyone in the coffee shop gasped. The girl ran to the bathroom, holding her burned cheek. Other customers tried to help, but the mean woman just laughed. She deserved it. Kids today are so lazy. Then she stormed out without paying. Later that day, the woman walked into a fancy office building for her job interview. She really needed this job to pay her bills. The secretary smiled and said, "Please wait here. The boss will see you soon." When the office door opened, her heart dropped. Standing there in a business suit was the same teenage girl from the coffee shop, but now she looked confident and powerful. "Hello again," the girl said calmly. "I'm the CEO's daughter. I was working at our coffee shop to learn the business." She paused and smiled. "Unfortunately, we don't hire people who hurt others." The woman begged and cried, but it was too late. Comment yes if kindness always wins in the end. "Agayaya," he said in a high-pitched voice. I sighed, pulling the blanket up. "Can you just say good night like a normal person?" He grinned and leaned closer. "Agayaya," he said again, even louder. My husband had always been a little goofy. He liked making up names for stores. Walgreens was Eat Your Greens, and Barnes & Noble was Sharts and Gobbles. At first it was funny, but then it became all the time. He started using made-up words instead of real ones. Scuppers meant yes, and Bing meant no, but I could still understand him. Therefore, I tried to ignore it. Then he began talking to our child that way, but our child didn't understand. Instead of saying stop or come here, he'd use a silly sound or a nonsense word. Therefore, our child would just stare at him, confused. He did this with friends, too. He called Pam and Will Pig and Wig. I saw their faces when they heard it. They weren't laughing. One night, I finally snapped. "Enough," I said. "Please, just talk normally." He paused, but instead of stopping, he smirked. He got close to my face and whispered, "Bagayaya." ya? That's when I knew he wasn't going to change. Therefore, I left. A boy stood on the sidewalk, waving eagerly at a businessman. The man was curious, but before he could walk over, the boy ran back to his mother. She was selling fruit on the street. The businessman followed and asked about the apples. The mother smiled warmly and said, "They are $2 each." But the boy proudly added, "If it isn't sweet, you can get it for free." The businessman laughed, amused by the boy's confidence. Still, he said, "Pack all the fruit for me." His assistant leaned in, whispering, "Sir, we already have plenty of fruit at home." But the man simply shook his head. "We can give them to our employees." He reached for his phone to pay, but the mother quickly stopped him. "I only take cash," she said. "Can you check these bills for me? My eyes, they're not very good. I saved this money for my son's school." The businessman took the money and looked at it. His heart sank. The bills were fake. He glanced at the woman, her hopeful eyes, her tired hands. He didn't want to break her heart. So with a gentle smile, he said, "They look fine to me." Then he picked up an apple and took a bite. His smile froze. Bitter. It was unbearably bitter. He wanted to spit it out, but instead, he quietly swallowed. He took out extra money and placed it gently in the mother's hand. Then he turned and walked away. If you believe kindness makes the world a better place, drop a heart. I watched from outside the classroom as my son's teacher mocked him in front of everyone. "You'll never amount to anything," she shouted at him when he couldn't solve a math problem. My son's face turned red with shame as other students laughed. I couldn't believe my eyes. This had been going on for weeks, but my son was too afraid to tell me. A parent next to me whispered, "She does this to many kids. Nobody stops her." The next day, I waited until class ended and walked straight into the classroom. "I need to talk to you about how you're treating my son." The teacher rolled her eyes. "Your son is lazy and stupid. I'm just being honest." The principal walked in and heard everything. "It's just tough love. These kids need discipline. My son needs respect and proper teaching, not bullying from the very person who should be supporting him." I pulled out my phone and showed them the video I recorded yesterday. "Either this stops today or I'm taking this to the school board and social media." Their faces went pale. The teacher started apologizing, but I cut her off. "It's not me you need to apologize to. It's my son and every other child you've hurt. If you believe every child deserves respect, drop a heart and subscribe." This boy woke up at 4 a.m. every morning to deliver newspapers in the freezing cold. His father never helped. He just stayed home sleeping. The boy would return exhausted, make his own breakfast, and walk to school alone. At school, other kids talked about their dads. "My dad took me fishing. My dad bought me new shoes." The boy stayed quiet. His dad never did anything with him. One night, he found his father asleep at the kitchen table again. "Why don't you ever help me? Why don't you care about me like other fathers?" His father didn't answer, just went back to sleep. The boy wiped his tears. "God, why did you give me such a lazy father?" Years later, the boy became a doctor. He never called his father. One day, his old neighbor knocked on his door. "Your father collapsed. He's at the hospital asking for you." The boy drove there angry. When he arrived, a nurse handed him a folder. "Your father has been working 3-night jobs for 15 years. He'd sleep during the day so he could pay for your school. We found scholarship letters he sent to 50 universities in your name. Every single one he signed, from a father who believes in his son." The boy ran to his father's room crying, "Dad, I'm so sorry. I never knew." His father smiled weakly. "God gave me the strength to work, son, because you were worth every sleepless night." Comment yes if you believe God rewards sacrifice. A girl and her best friend were playing in the park when the friend suddenly gasped, "My necklace! It's gone!" She cried, looking around in panic. It was a precious gold necklace her grandmother had given her, and without it, the friend was frantic. The friend's older brother appeared and quickly accused the girl, saying, "You took it, didn't you?" The girl felt her heart race. She had no idea where the necklace went, but the older brother's harsh words made her feel guilty, even though she hadn't done anything wrong. As they searched the park, the girl couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Why did the older brother accuse her so quickly, while the girl's younger brother was acting strange, hiding behind the bushes? Could he know more than he was letting on? She asked him where he had been earlier. He wouldn't answer, but then she spotted something shiny buried beneath the swing. Was it the necklace? The girl and her younger brother dug it up and found the necklace. He finally admitted he had seen it on the ground, but had hidden it, thinking no one would notice. She returned it to her friend, clearing her name. The friend apologized for doubting her, and they hugged. The older brother also said sorry for accusing her. When doubt clouds your vision, patience reveals the clearest answers. Comment yes if you agree.